everyone, to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. Thank you for tuning in from wherever and however you're joining us today. My name is Caleb, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jeff Emerine and Victoria Dickerson. How are y'all?
Doing great.
And we are excited to be joined by a special guest today, Anthony Constantino, co-founder of Sticker Mule, which, when we were reached out about the potential of having you on, Anthony, I got really excited because we are avid users of Sticker Mule, loyal customers and big fans. And so welcome to the show.
That's good to hear. We've been laying low, so haven't done so many of these, but happy to be here.
Well, we're honored that you chose to join us. Sticker Mule, the custom printing that kicks ass, is the tagline there. So tell us, tell us a little bit about Anthony.
You know, it was a controversial tagline when we started. Even among my my co-founder, he's like, you can't say ass in your tagline. You got a curse word in your tagline's crazy. But we toughed it out, and eventually, we actually A/B tested it, and anything else underperformed. Any other variation of that underperformed. Custom stickers that ship fast, right? Underperformed.
Yeah.
Kick-ass. So kick-ass stayed, and I would say now we call ourselves the internet's most kick-ass brand, mostly because no one else has attempted to claim that title.
I love it.
They're all too nervous to go for that title. They'll go for other titles. Best place to work or something. I don't know. Although, yeah, anyways.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Anthony. How did you, you don't have to go all the way back to...
Yeah, I'll do a quick review. My co-founder is in his 80s now. He was in his 70s when he started. And, I was in my late 20s when we started and just BSing about an internet company with him just before Christmas 2010. And he said, well, what do people even do on the internet? He managed to get through his whole career without using the internet, believe it or not. And I showed him Zazzle. I showed him Cafe Press, which were two of the big internet printing companies at the time. And he said, all right, that's great. I'm tired. And he went home and he came and saw me the next day and almost word for word said something along the lines of, I stayed up all last night with a bottle of vodka and thought about what you think. I thought about what you said. And I drank this bottle of vodka and decided we should start a company together. And that was the beginning of Sticker Mule. We launched 3 months later.
Wow.
So he gets a lot of credit for us starting. I actually said, let me think about it. And I said, let me think about it. And he said, no, you showed me the internet last night. And this is almost word for word. He said, you're 5 years too late. We got to start right now. So, he gets a lot of credit for us getting started. And we started 3 months later and we luckily got started at a time where it was still reasonably easy to get a foothold on the internet. Although I guess it still is to an extent, depending on what you're doing. But, we've been a success almost since day one. I think we got 17 orders the first day or somewhere around 20 orders the first day. And it just, we've been in a good situation ever since.
What do you credit that to?
At the time, there was no such thing as internet printing really other than Cafe Press and Zazzle, and they weren't doing what we were doing, which was facilitating bulk orders. So there wasn't really a way to do that effectively. All the bulk orders in the print world were being done over the phone or through email or stuff like that. No one had built an e-commerce experience for that. So, that was the original thing and carried us through 12 or so years now and got us to the point where, I stayed low. I never done any podcasts, but we recently launched in the last year a social network called Stimulus where we're trying to fix a lot of the broken incentives on social. And similarly to how people thought it was nuts when I said I was going to start a sticker company. They couldn't imagine that would be a successful business. Although, if you understand the market, it's kind of obvious that it could be. But people thought it was nuts. I had no experience on the internet, and it worked out. And so we decided, why not try another crazy project, which was to start a social network, which we launched in beta about a year ago. It's still sort of in a beta phase, but it's doing really well as well. So.
What kind of people are you attracting
to the social network?
Yeah.
So right now it's a lot of Sticker Mule people. We launched it to our network. The idea is, we felt there's a lot of broker incentives on social. Believe it or not, Sticker Mule just kept growing and growing and growing. And I was like, well, how do you grow? You must do a ton of stuff on how's your Instagram and Twitter and this and that. And we didn't do anything on social until a few years ago. I finally got succumbed to getting involved in social. But I would say, you can grow a massive business without being on social. So I finally got on Twitter and realized Twitter had a lot of problems. I'm sort of a, casually trained designer, whatever. I'm a self-taught in a lot of things, and I'm a self-taught designer, and I could see a lot of design problems that were on Twitter. And I don't like complaining without doing stuff. I kind of got like baked into my personality. So, as we started growing on Twitter, we went from 30,000 followers to 200,000. And believe it or not, at our peak on Twitter, we were getting an average of 500,000, upwards of 1 million impressions per tweet. At the time, Twitter didn't disclose impressions per tweet. So we didn't know if that was good or not. Like we weren't really sure. We were like, well, that sounds good. It really didn't do much for our sales. And now that Twitter has disclosed impressions per tweet, you can go on the site and see it for anyone. Like 500,000 to 1 million impressions per tweet is like probably top 1% of Twitter, top 0.1% of Twitter. I mean, almost nobody's doing that.
Wow.
And so we were actually really performing well on there, and we just saw the dark side of Twitter, and we saw a lot of the we saw a lot of really bad design decisions being baked into Twitter. And so, we got frustrated about it and decided, could we build a network that would remove those design incentives? And the biggest problem we saw is, on all of these networks, and I'm not an expert on all of them, but the goal is they're all sort of like games, and when you play a game, you want to win. Well, what's the way you win the game? You build your followers. They're sort of like MMORPGs, like World of Warcraft or something like that. There's no end to the game, right? Like you just World of Warcraft. I never played World of Warcraft, but as I understand it, your character just keeps getting better and better. You want to be the best, the strongest character in the game, but it just keeps going, right? So Twitter, Instagram are the same, right? You just keep trying to make your character stronger, and the game never ends. But on Twitter, the levers you pulled on, what is now called Twitter 1.0, old Twitter, Jack Dorsey's Twitter, is was mostly being provocative and being toxic. And that was the way the game was designed. They steered people towards being toxic and being provocative and being hateful in order to succeed on the platform and grow their followers. And then, like, Jack Dorsey would stand on the sidelines and throw stones at people and criticize the players for playing by the rules of the rules that he created. So he's like, the way you win the game is to be an asshole. And then he's sitting on the sidelines calling everyone assholes. I was like, well, this is a horrible human being. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if everyone feels that way, but I don't care for the guy at all. And so, we saw that, and we said, like, could we build another game that's more fun to play and more positive to play? So Stimulus removes a lot of the negative design, the negative design decisions that are embedded in Twitter, and replaces them with more positive ones. We have a number of innovations that are unique to us. The biggest one being we replace ads with integrated giveaways. So if you want attention, number one tool to get attention on Stimulus is to run a giveaway. Everyone wants attention. That's a positive tool to get attention, and it's an easy tool to get attention. We're also the first network to verify everyone, which the other networks are now migrating towards. But we came out of the gate with that idea over a year ago, before Elon Musk even, I think probably before he, before he even, I don't know at what point he started thinking about buying Twitter, but I think we started Stimulus before. He moved very quickly, so I don't even know if he was thinking about buying Twitter at the time. That we had thought about verification for all. That's another design decision that makes Stimulus a much more pleasant place. So we're up to 35,000 verified users and 100 or 200,000 unverified people. So if you're unverified, you can't interact, you can't communicate, you can only read. We think, like, we want social to mimic real life as much as possible. And, in real life, you operate under your real identity. You don't get to, like, put a mask on and go to a bar and use a fake name. You go out, and, through most of human history, people knew who you were. They knew your face, they knew your name. And so that reality just naturally steered humans towards being more socially pleasant towards each other. I mean, throughout human history, like, there's definitely, people aren't always pleasant. People get into fights, they get into conflicts, they get into wars, whatever. But I think most human interaction throughout human history was much more positive. If you look at, like, Twitter 1.0 was mostly negative human interaction and harmful human interaction. The vast majority of it was destructive, and the vast majority of real human action is not nearly as negative as it was on Twitter 1.0. So we're trying to replicate some, just be more similar to the positivity we experience in real life. So, off to a good start. We're still in sort of a beta phase, and it's a big project, but that's going well, and Sticker Mill's doing fun stuff along the way.
Seems like such a departure from, the original, Sticker Mule business. Is this kind of like a passion project, you think?
We're in a situation where I said, like, it's baked into our DNA that we said like we should part of business, I say like fundamentally in business, you're finding problems and fixing them. So like the first problem Sticker Mule solved was buying custom printed stuff online, specifically stickers. But we wanted to solve the idea of buying custom printing online in general, right? So that was our first big problem we solved. That was like within our skill set to be able to solve. And my mind is kind of now wired to solve the biggest problems. Like, so I'm always looking for big and interesting problems. And I think theoretically, the bigger the problem you solve, generally the bigger the return is. Although I don't go to work looking for, I don't actually, I don't go to work looking to make money. It just sort of happens because I tend to solve interesting things. So yeah, it's just wired into our brain to solve the biggest problems with that we're able to solve. And this seemed like a project that we had the ability to try to take on. And I don't know, I don't know if we'll replace any of the other networks, but even if we just steer things in a more interesting direction, it's a victory for us. I live in the world, and as do the rest, all of us. And I didn't like the direction Twitter was steering the world in. Elon Musk apparently felt similar because he decided to intervene and buy the whole thing. But I think a number of people felt similarly, but we decided to do something about it.
What are your thoughts around content moderation and free speech and that whole conversation?
Yeah, well, I think like the interesting thing about something like this is funny. You're like, oh, these other networks, partly because they don't have verification. Like all the competitors to Twitter that came out recently, they had to invest massively in content moderation. Like that's like step one. Let's figure out content moderation. Believe it or not, we've had to do almost nothing in the world of content moderation to manage our community because of the ID verification. Like I suspected that if people operated using their real identity, that would naturally just push people in a more positive direction, and you wouldn't have the negativity using it. I suspected a few things. One, if you remove the incentives to be nasty and introduce incentives to be more pleasant, you would just naturally have a better community. So we don't have bad behavior on stimulus thus far. That's not to say it won't exist. But we just haven't seen it. I think these issues became overblown because Twitter specifically really encouraged people to behave, and very, just to be very provocative and nasty, and it created this. I think like Jack Dorsey and prior management of Twitter sold Twitter as a lens into like what's happening into the world. It was a totally false lens, and it really caused people to. I mean, they were real issues. All this hate and toxicity became real issues because it influenced the culture in that direction. But yeah, we don't have that issue right now. We'll deal with that as it comes. I say solve the biggest problems solve the biggest problems you can solve, and solve your most pressing problems. Like when I'm looking at problems, I look at the necessity to solve it. Right now, it's not something we've really had to solve. The biggest issues we've had to deal with on stimulus. The two issues we had to deal with on stimulus are, believe it or not, spam, which we have worked on. We're working on spam filtering, so you can turn spam filtering on and off. But we think spam is in the eye of the beholder. So ideally, just like email, you can train your own filter to weed out what you consider spam. And another problem we have, which the other networks don't consider a problem, but I thought it was a problem, is nudity. I don't have an issue with nudity, but again, we want to replicate real life, and in real life you can't just randomly expose yourself. So we're gonna, right now we don't allow nudity. We had a few people on the platform that weren't in agreement with that and just insisted on continually posting nudes. So they suspended themselves. They got suspended pending our ability to implement not safe for work filters. It should be a decision you make as a human. So I think I agree with I think I think we have a reasonable perspective towards how we're taking these problems as they come.
And I guess going back a little bit, back to I guess the rollout of Sticker Mule and all that. What was your background going into? I
was in manufacturing for most of my life. I went to RPI. I had no internet background. I had like I said, I'm a self-taught designer. I can't draw. I mean, I can't draw, but I understand design principles. Usability. I like usability. Usability is like really common in manufacturing because it's like generally in manufacturing, you want to make processes like easy as possible. People have this distorted view of manufacturing that you I don't know, you got to be tough on people to succeed, right? And it's like that's not the case. You really want to make life as easy as possible for people. So like in manufacturing, you're constantly trying to like simplify your processes and make them run without thinking. I used to be example like Starbucks when we first started sticking with like Starbucks can open up a Starbucks and it always just runs. It's like it doesn't matter. I'm sure they have to put some thought into who works there, but for the most part, whoever's working at a Starbucks, the Starbucks operates fairly effectively because they put a lot of effort towards like making that system run, just without making it hard on people. And so, like I said, I'm self-taught and usability, and I'm always thinking about usability in manufacturing. My co-founder probably thought a lot about usability, so it's like I spent most of my life thinking about how to make manufacturing processes easier for people to make them, and in doing so you get productivity benefits. And now it's just I'm doing that on I ended up doing that on the sales side, right, with making the ordering experience really easy. And then once you get out of the world of manufacturing, it's just like how do you make the company easy to run? How do you make people's jobs easy to do? So, I enjoyed making life easy and simplifying things as much as possible. So, but yeah, my background before Sticker Mill was I was in manufacturing. I went to I stumbled into going to engineering school, but I got an economics degree. I was if you know anything about engineering school, if you're not an engineer and you're at an engineering school, you're a second-class citizen. So, I stumbled into going to engineering school, but I pursued economics. I like to be honest. I was one class short of graduating. Didn't graduate, but the class I didn't take was computer programming for whatever reason. And yeah, but I had like a lot of engineering friends, and it gave me a good background. So when we started Sticker Mill, I had to start hiring engineers. I had a context for the types of people I wanted working with us.
So being in the world of social media that you're in now, and you have been for at least the past year, being a social media user myself and working in it, one of my biggest grievances with all the big platforms is that there seems to be no real human on the other side. Whenever I have an issue, even just like a connectivity issue or something is glitching and it's not working, I can't give my feedback to the big giants at Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those. It feels like I can't give them my feedback. So how are you tackling like the feedback issue? Like, how are you listening to what your users like or don't like about your platform? How are you responding to them and adjusting it to what their needs are?
I mean, fortunately, we're small enough that we can listen to people. I have some sympathy for them. I mean, once you get big, it can be very hard to listen. I think
absolutely.
But we're listening to people. We try to it's one of if we can, we definitely prioritize requests that come from people in the community, especially if it's already on our roadmap, because it excites the community too when you do things that they like. So that's been a principle we applied at Sticker Mill. We apply at Stimos. We listen to people. If there's something that they want that makes sense, we try to do it relatively quickly. Like the spam was a huge one. We didn't know that was going to even be a problem. That was the biggest complaint by far. People didn't like nudity. They didn't like, it was mixed paint. I mean, some people like it, but like, I definitely, if our theory is like, let's model real life, I agree with the perspective that like, you shouldn't allow people to randomly expose themselves. It should be opt-in.
Right.
So, we tackled that. The biggest thing we had to jump on that we didn't know was going to happen was spam. Because we didn't know there's this like whole world of referral spam. There's this like, I didn't even heard this, but there's a platform called Temu and Shine, and they have these incredible referral systems that just get like, they convince people to just share their referral links all day and every day. And I can't imagine that they're succeeding doing this, but people went, out of whatever reason, they went nuts doing that. And it was clogging up the platform with like, we were at like 30-40% of the platform was just referral spam. Well, I said spam is in the eye of the beholder. So it's like to some people, maybe that isn't spam. Maybe that's what they want to be viewing on the internet. That's why we want it to be custom. We want spam filtering to be custom to every person. But we did jump on that. That was a huge request from the community, and it's something that I don't think. I guess the other networks to different extents are tackling spam, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's doing it as effectively as we're gonna do it. We're letting you turn it on and off, and we're giving people ways to potentially see it, just like email.
What is the verification process like? If I was to sign up for Stimulus, which I'm going to check it out after this, but what does it take to be verified?
It's ID verification. So we do email verification. We're very strict email, phone, and identity. There's a lot of what's it called, KYC, know your customer. So we're doing we're doing the same process like a lot of banks follow, and applying it to a social network.
Cool.
Which I don't think anyone else has thought to do. I think Twitter has that on their roadmap now. That they called it financial verification. They're going to add KYC, I believe. So, which I think everyone should do it. I wish we were the only one doing that. I wish nobody was going to copy it, and then we could be we would get credit for being the innovators in this space. But I think it's the right direction for the internet to move towards. I think you're going to have a lot better. Free speech is going to make a lot more sense when people are operating using their real identity, because people are going to start noticing that the toxicity diminishes quite a bit, and there won't be so much apprehension around it. Like, the trolls won't have the same upside in being trolls when everyone's operating under their real ID. So.
What do you know about your customer in terms of the demographics of your users and ages and all that sort of stuff? I mean, have you been able to learn?
That's a good question.
Really, who the ideal customer is based on the first 35,000 that are on board?
That's a good question. Even in the history, Stigma has been around a lot longer. I've never really done deep. We've never had time to do deep dives on that, so we haven't looked into that on Stigma. And for the most part, people are like, who buys stickers from you? I go, I don't know. I mean, anecdotally, almost everybody, because people are like, how did you guys grow so much? Well, I tell people, prior to Sticker Mule, it was a very difficult process to buy stickers, so you only bought them for your business. But when you make it easy, people start buying stickers for their cat. So, I don't know exactly who buys from Sticker Mule, but I know, people buy stickers for their cat on a regular basis, and they buy, stickers for their kids and all sorts of goofy stuff. Our target for Stimulus is making it a platform that's productive for small businesses, and for consumers, because, the giveaway is the mechanism. So we want to design giveaways to be a more effective way to grow your business than buying advertising, because we think it's, that's going to be great for the business. Our goal is to build a social network that is productive for society. And what's one way to be productive for society? Help people on an economic basis. Economic needs are fundamental needs. I'm not an expert on all this Maslow's hierarchy and needs stuff. I'm not crazy about this stuff, but if you look at it, it's what economic needs a fundamental need. If you look at what the other network's doing, they're tackling self-actualization, expressing yourself. That's not a need that most of humanity has. Most people need to succeed economically. So we're focused on giving businesses tools to get their brand out there and make money on their end. And in doing so, it's a win-win situation, because the tool we're giving businesses to succeed also helps the consumers on the other end succeed, because sometimes they win something. We've given away over $300,000 so far.
Wow.
And you touched on kind of the aspect with Sticker Mule of kind of lowering the barrier for custom stickers for anybody. And candidly, that's what I use Sticker Mule a lot for. I think I've got an embarrassing photo of every friend of mine turned into a sticker and then plastered on urinals and stop signs and stuff all over town. That's exactly what I use it for.
That's perfect.
So
that's the ideal use case. No, we got a friend who's famous in my town for having his face all over the urinals as well. It's not us doing it to him; it's him doing it to himself. He likes getting his name out there.
Not many companies would be proud to say that their product is on public urinals, but it's cool that that's what people are using it. They're having fun, and
you really have undivided attention at that.
Exactly.
You're going and you're like, who is this guy? And then you see him. You're the guy I saw in the urinal at the Denny's.
And I will say too, and I went to last year, went to CES, and I had made stickers with a QR code that goes to our website and with all the details about what we do. And I kind of passed those out and kind of branded them and passed those out at CES to people in the booths and the expos. And they were kind of curious, because it wasn't a business card. It was a sticker that they could do whatever they want to with. But, that QR code took them to our website and that sort of thing. So that was another unique use case for that. But I'm curious to hear you speak to kind of the customer acquisition side of Sticker Mule, because I know you'll offer so many
Mhm.
kind of, discounted opportunities each week. Like, you can do like 50 die cut stickers for $30, versus what the normal
Yep.
price is. And that gets folks like myself in there to order those stickers of my friends' embarrassing photos. But then once I start doing that, then I've like ordered all of our startup junkie stickers
Right.
at full price from Sticker Mule. So I just kind of speak to that process of like really discounting,
We
some
like
of those items.
Yeah, we like to lure people in and then blow them away with incredible service and and hope that they come back and buy again. By and large, they do. But I tell people it's a simple formula that we use to succeed is basically make the experience incredibly good so that people that encounter us are highly likely to buy. So, we keep getting, as the experience gets better, your ability to convert customers goes up. As your ability to convert customers increases, you can justify a larger ad budget. So most of our competitors, if they mimicked our ad budget, would drive themselves into bankruptcy very quickly because they would just be burnt. Even if you look at us like 7, 8 years ago, if we had the same ad budget, it would destroy us because you'd be getting the hits on the website and they'd just be bouncing. But we have such a great experience on the website that we can justify a very large ad budget and it works. And it's difficult to mimic and replicate. And so I think, this is kind of a formula all successful e-commerce companies are following, right? Get the experience really good. And then have, I guess there's other ways to grow as well. But if you want to buy on the internet, it's an experience game. It's a very strong competitive weapon, have a great experience. And because people talk about you get so many benefits from it. One, people hit your website and their likelihood of buying is significantly higher. Two, they enjoy the experience, so they talk about you, which tends to increase conversion down the road too, because people are familiar with you are more likely to buy, and so it's a virtuous cycle of create a great experience, advertise, grow the company, and then just continue investing and making the experience better and better and better. Stimulus is one thing we're using our excess capital to do to excite people, but we're constantly investing in other tools to make life better. We had a whole suite of we build we've been building AI tools on the back end for quite a while now to automate our processes. We started releasing some of those to the public. So when people give us a picture of their cat, we have an automatic background removal AI. That's pretty popular technology now, but we have our own version of that we use in the back end. We release to the public under a service called Trace. If you send us a huge issue in printing is low resolution artwork is unprintable at a certain size, but we have an AI tool that automatically increases the resolution that we've been using in the back end to kind of magically improve artwork for people. And we released that to the public under a service called Upscale. So it's a virtuous cycle. We try to make the experience great. We advertise the experience, get it in front of as many eyeballs as we can. Those people enjoy the experience, come back and buy, give us revenue, and we turn that revenue into additional investment, making more and more cool stuff.
And what I'll say from looking at your website, I mean, the first two things that I see on the website is immediately all the products, the types of stickers you can order. And the second thing is the reviews. And I think that it seems to be the magic formula for, cutting straight to the chase. When people come to you, they want to see what kind of products they can make with you guys. And then second, all of the hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews that you guys have. And so I think that, business owners, e-commerce sites can honestly take that and learn from it, that what is the number one thing that they want to see? It's your product. And number two, what are people saying about the product? And so a lot of your success, I can see that. I mean, it was very upfront, first page of your website. That's what I saw. And so I think that your strategy is very clearly working. And so
believe it or not, we get 1- and 2-star reviews every now and then too, but every 1- and 2-star review, I still review personally.
That's cool.
And the team does as well. And we're constantly looking ways to mitigate those 1- and 2-star reviews. So if there's a 1-star review that's happening for, a particular reason, for example, we have a product that's super popular, acrylic pins, people love them. And the glue wasn't strong enough, so we started getting a lot. We didn't know that, but a percentage of people have an issue with the pins not being as durable as they'd like, and the problem boiled down to the glue. So we went back to work on the glue formula and making a strong glue formula. So we're constantly reading the 1- and 2-star reviews. We don't really need to read the 5-star ones because maybe they're fun to read, but there's a lot of them.
That's cool.
But we still look at all. I personally look at most of the 1- and 2-star reviews and constantly trying to mitigate those and reduce the
Yeah,
flow
my
'cause they happen.
My husband has a whole process for reading the reviews when he's purchasing a product. He'll start with the 4-star reviews, then he'll go to the 1-star, the 2-star, the 3-star, and he'll end with the 5-star reviews. And that I just
Yeah.
look at the 5-star reviews. So I commend you for, looking at all the 1-star.
It's funny, everyone's got 1 and 2 stars. It's like, I don't want to say it, there's a competitor of ours that has only 5-star reviews. They got, like, you look, there's only 5-star reviews. They don't have any. And I go, this has got to be a scam. It's like, it can't be. I mean, because I know we are obsessive about quality, and I try to stop, and it's just like, it's impossible. You can't have an insane amount. You can't have a lot of orders and never make a mistake. It's impossible. I mean, maybe
Right.
you can eventually get, depending upon the product line. Stickers has been around long enough that we tend, we're really, really, really powerful on, rock solid on that. But, even there we make mistakes every now and then. Some of the newer products are more prone to having more 1 and 2-star reviews until we figure out how to polish those off as well.
On the stimulus side, when you do the product giveaways, or when the people that are on do the product giveaways, do you leverage your skills at fulfillment? Are you doing the fulfillment as well?
Yeah.
And all the
that's the that's a good question. That's the plan. So we started with the, we have a roadmap for this. Like, we started with financial giveaways only, which is sort of discouraging, right? Because product giveaways are probably going to be a lot higher ROI for people. But step 1, we want to lock down financial giveaways. Giving away money is the easiest thing to do.
Gotcha.
For us. So we handle the movement of money and guarantee it's distributed. Step 2 for us is going to be we're working on this, is doing product giveaways, but we're only going to support products initially that we make, because again, we want to be able to guarantee the distribution of the good. So yeah, we're going to work towards giving away stickers and t-shirts and, other fun stuff that we make. And then down the road, we would like to support things that other people make as well, but we need mechanisms in place to verify that they're doing the fulfillment on their end correctly.
I gotcha.
So, yeah, that's the path we're headed on. I think it's gonna be really, really cool.
And speaking of fun stuff you make, I can't get through this interview without asking about the mule sauce, the hot sauce.
Right.
If anybody that has an order over a certain size gets a bottle of mule sauce, which in Googling, saw that it's won some contests even for quality. So tell us, how did that come to be? It seems like kind of random, but it works.
I think early on we said we want something really fast, simple, fun, and people like, what's fun? Well, I don't know, fun is like jokes, humor, I don't know, surprises. People like surprises, right? So yeah, I mean, mule sauce is just a pretty good joke and a fun surprise. Like, when somebody brought it up, and it started as a joke, it still is a joke, but I said it's only a funny joke. It's only a funny joke if it's actually good, right? Like, if we're gonna give you hot sauce and you get it and it's like average, it's still a joke, but it's not a great joke. But when you get it and people go, why is my favorite hot sauce made by a sticker company? It's a really good joke, right? So I said, yeah, we could do it. It'd be a great joke, but it has to actually be good. So we put a team on researching hot sauce, trying to figure out a great recipe. They spent almost a year on it, and we came up with mule sauce. And a lot of people think it is one of the best hot sauces on the market. That was our goal. And it just won number 1 in the blind taste test against a few hundred other hot sauces. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I think it legitimately is. And we're working on trying to get it in stores and turning it into its own, major thing. It's not a huge focus for us, but it adds, like I said, we want fast, simple, fun, and it's adds to the fun element of what we're doing. Makes us more memorable.
And also read where y'all open a sports facility as well.
Yeah, for our hometown. I'm from a small town where we started we're still in a very small town, 15,000 people. The only gym was going to close, so we just took it over. And believe it or not, in my spare time, I started professionally boxing. I'm supposed to fight next month.
Oh wow.
I like sports. I don't know. I spent 10 years just sitting in front of a computer and putting on weight. But once things sort of stabilized and I had a little more free time, somehow I stumbled back into becoming semi-athletic again, even though I just turned 40. So I had my first pro boxing match at 40. And right now I'm 2-0, both knockouts. Gonna hopefully be 3-0 soon.
Nice.
So I like that, but I also, we only have one gym in the community. It was going to close, and so we just stepped in and took it over. Made it free for kids, and paid membership for adults. So it's like, it's like, you need a gym, sort of like a community center. I'm a small town. Unfortunately, it's a decline. It's been a declining town. It's sort of been, revitalizing itself a little, but you need communities need, you need jobs for a community to succeed, which Sticker Mill is somewhat providing. But you also need fun. People don't want to live in a town. I can work, but I can do nothing else. Now, gym maybe isn't the most fun thing in the world, but it's you need it's like a you need it. It's sort of a necessity. So.
So of all
Sounds
things
like
you could take on in terms of sports. I boxed in college, so I can
Oh yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah. What was the attraction of boxing? Have you always been a boxing fan, or how'd you get to boxing?
I don't know. I mean, first of all, like once I finally stopped working like a crazy person, I tried a few different things, and I realized, like, I tell everyone now, if you don't have a hobby, I didn't have a hobby for a long time. It's like you got to try stuff, and certain things just connect with you. And I tried a few things. I even tried stand-up comedy, and I tried boxing. And I just loved it. I don't know why. And the other thing is, when I was 25, I boxed a little bit. My friend's a pro boxer, retired pro boxer, heavyweight, and he always wanted me to be a boxer. And he was like, "You could," but I'm like, it wasn't at the right direction for me at 25 to go into the world of boxing.
Right.
I was like, this isn't good for your mental health. Really, you lose brain cells if you get, every hit is a loss of brain cells. And so I didn't pursue it, but he always wanted me to do it. And I don't know, I guess it was in the back of my mind. I've been living in Mexico for the last few years, and I randomly stumbled into a boxing gym in Mexico. And, the coach was very supportive, just similar to the way my friend was. My friend started messing around me in the gym. He really wanted me to box. I started boxing in Mexico, and the coach really liked me. And he was like, "You really should consider boxing. You really should consider competing." And both of them said, I would be a natural knockout artist. And I didn't believe it. I said to my coach before my first fight, I said, my first amateur fight, I said, why do you think I'm going to knock the guy out? I've never knocked anyone out before. He said, just wait and see. And so I fought my first fight. I knocked the guy out cold. They had to call the medics in. And I did 2 amateur fights, 2 pro fights, all ended in knockouts. Yeah. And so, and I don't like the sport. I like learning. I don't like violence. People are like, you must like violence. I'm like, maybe you can relate. It's like, I don't really like violence. I don't like getting hit. I'm very defensive minded, as far as myself goes. And like, I don't like hurting people until it comes fight time. But I do like learning. And there's a lot of stuff to learn in boxing, and it's fun to learn new stuff. It's fun to like learn new skills, and it's an excuse to stay in shape.
It's amazing to stay in shape. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Just before this, and I just ran 3 miles before this, and I maintained an 8-minute pace for first. I was before my first pro fight. I go up and down weight, it's terrible, but I was 187 before my first pro fight, and I cut down to 160. Right now I got to cut down to 158. So
Cutting weight
keeps
is
in shape.
always
I would never be in shape
tough,
if it
right?
wasn't for boxing. No, exactly.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a fight coming, I would be, I don't know, drinking beers and eating hamburgers, and it's terrible. I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's a great motivator to get in shape, because you're not, you have no choice but to get in shape.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't get in shape, you're going to get severely injured. So it's a very good motivator,
No doubt.
It's
No doubt.
fun.
That's cool.
the Sticker Mule, the custom printing that kicks ass, with the co-founder that also literally kicks ass.
That's good brand association there. I think.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, it links to the tagline we've had all along. It wasn't, I had no idea I was going to end up doing this. Even when I did the amateur fight, I didn't think I would end up doing a pro fight, but my coach wanted me to. And I don't know, now he's like, go for a year and see what you can do, and yada, yada, yada. So right now my plan is to fight next month. And if it goes well and I win again, I'm going to try and fight every month for the rest of the year. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, Anthony, one of the ways we land the plane on these conversations is invite our guests to kind of go back in time, whether that be, before the launch of Sticker Mule, or even further back, with all the accumulated knowledge that you have now. What advice would you give your younger self?
I think just trying to phrase it eloquently, and it's like the simple thing, like add more self-confidence. But the bigger point is, like, I remember, actually, it's like sitting in Denny's with one of my friends and saying, "Oh, it'd be cool to have an internet company one day." And we were fanboys of like the other internet companies. And once you get in and start doing it, you realize there's not a really huge disparity between who you are, who most of us are, and who these other people that we think are like mythical figures are. There's sort of a limit on, you know, human ability. I mean, there's a spectrum, but the spectrum's not so big. I mean, I'm experiencing something in boxing. People think it's like, how could you go box? Well, at the end of the day, you're fighting a human. There's a limit onto what the other person can do. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people just have more, you know, you got to have more self-confidence. You know, you can do more than, I think everyone can do more than they realize they can do. But one of our fundamental principles, values we look for in people at Sticker Mule is humility. So you got to balance self-confidence with humility. Like one of the easiest ways to get better is to admit what you're not good at. And so, yeah. Believe more in yourself is my best advice from, you know, my prior self and everyone.
That's great. Where can our audience find out more about you, about Stimulus, about Sticker Mule? What's the best way for them to?
You know, I'm elusive. I am on stimulus.com/Anthony. You can go on stimulus.com, check out Stimulus, stickermule.com, and you know, other than that, we're low profile. I mean, our customers know us, but
right,
they come to the website and buy, and they get the stickers and the sauce and whatever else. But
thanks for coming on. This
yeah,
is good.
no, thank you. It was great.
Best of luck with all the next steps.
Yeah, that's cool to hear that you were a former boxer too.
Yeah,
we'll do another show. We'll do another show on that maybe down the road.
Absolutely. I'll
and the other businesses
I'll interview you.
That'd be
and
great.
Businesses that you'll definitely start too. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Thanks, Caleb and
See ya.
Victoria. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors. If you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.